Well, today I want to talk a little bit about two, not just classic rifle cartridge combos, but downright iconic. These things are, they're awesome. They're awesome rifles. Been around a long time. I'm 80 years old. They're a lot older than me, but they've got a lot of life left in them. They're absolutely great deer hunters. One is the awesome Savage 99, and the other is the Winchester 94 30-30. And this 99 is in the 300 Savage. Classic, two classic deer rifles. Well, like I said, today I'm going to be discussing a couple of downright classic, and I mean classic, deer rifle cartridge combos. They're actually iconic. They're iconic rifle cartridge combos. And I'm going to talk a little bit about these two rifles and these two cartridges from my perspective, from kind of a little bit of my history with them. And the first is this baby. I think everybody ought to recognize this fool with any kind of gun whatsoever. This is the classic Winchester model 1894 30-30. It is a positively wonderful little rifle. And as a kid, as a young kid, if I got any money, if I did something to earn a few dollars or so, I'd go to town, and at the time we had newsstands, things called newsstands, and they sold every kind of a magazine and newspaper and everything was, and they had all kinds of gun magazines and hunting magazines. And of course, I would spend my hard-earned money on a hunting magazine that had the most pictures in it because I couldn't read. Anyway, and I'd have first one another reading, what is this and what's that, caption under a picture or something. But anyway, the Winchester 30-30, model 94, figured prominently in there. And then along comes the golden age of the TV westerns. And of course, the Winchester lever actions. The Winchester lever actions. Never mind that in most of these, to be correct, they were 92s and 66s and things like that, but to me, if it was a Winchester lever action, it was a 30-30, Winchester 30-30. And to my way of seeing things, then I saw no reason why any person on earth would ever want anything but a Winchester 94 30-30. That was all anybody'd ever need. Well, as often happens, time passed and I grew up a little bit. And I joined the military, and in the process learned to read. Anyway, I joined the military and was exposed to a few firearms, and I began to make, firearms become sort of a passion, and I began to study them, and of course studying ballistics. And I actually began to make a few dollars more than just mowing yard money at the time, And so finally I scraped together a few dollars, and I'm going to buy my first big game rifle. And by that time, I had come to realize that the Winchester Model 94 30-30, as awesome a rifle as it is within its limitations, lacks a little bit as far as being a perfect all-round rifle. So I had $60 to buy a rifle with. And so I went down to Montgomery Ward's and I bought a 30-06 Sporterized Springfield. And that was my first big game rifle. And of course, the 30-06 would do anything the 30-30 would do, plus, it'd do a bit more. So, as much as I loved the idea of the Winchester Model 94 30-30, my first rifle was not one. And that kind of set the pattern for the next umpteen years. Every time I'd put together a few dollars, enough to buy another rifle, I started buying special purpose. I'd buy a varmint rifle. Well, 30-30 wouldn't make a really good 300 or 400 yard prairie dog rifle, so I'd buy something else. And it seemed like no matter, when I went to buy a rifle, it was a special purpose. I would buy a rifle that was, the design of the rifle and that cartridge would lend itself better to that purpose than would the 30-30 94 Winchester. So I went many years, and I never did own my dream rifle. As a kid, I didn't own one. So I must have been late 50s, 60 years old. And I was into buying and refurbishing, buying sort of basket case rifles and rebuilding them or reworking them and selling them. That's what I did. That's what I did for living there for a while, particularly while I was recovering from cancer surgery. And during that time, I thought, I still never got my 30-30. So I looked around and I found one. I found this one. And typical, it was sort of a basket case. I mean, it needed a lot of TLC. So I bought it and I redid it. And if I do say so myself, it's a nice rifle. A very nice rifle indeed. So I finally had my 30-30. When I wanted one when I was 6 years old, I was 60 probably before I got one. Anyway, I got it, loved the rifle, naturally. And I carried it around the farm here, and I'd shoot it, first one thing and another, and target-wise. And I think the only thing I ever actually shot with it, was a groundhog. I did take it when we go camping up in the mountains and hunting the big woods for deer. I did take it. I never had the opportunity to shoot it. I didn't see anything I wanted to shoot with. So I'd never fired a shot at a big game with my trusty old 30-30. I haven't done it. But when my wife was 70 years old now, and that was 12 years ago, she's going to go on an elk hunt. And long story, but anyway, she's not a hunter, but she's a good shot. She's a real good shot. But she likes shooting little guns, like 22s and things like that. 9mm, 45s and things like that. But she wanted to go on this elk hunt. Well, I figured this little 30-30 would be ideal for her to take on an elk hunt. And she did. She took a monster bull elk with this little 30-30. So I knew that the 30-30 was perfect for what it would do, as a up to and including deer, to and including deer-sized animals in timber at a relatively moderate ranges. That it was perfect for that. You just couldn't get it any better. You could get something that kills also, but you can't kill any deader than dead, and the 30-30 do just fine. But I also knew that a bullet placed in the right place is going to kill anything, period. And the indigenous people that live in the North Country, I mean, they've used the old 30-30 for everything, polar bears, moose, everything. So I know that it'll do its job. If you put the bullet in the right place, it's going to do its job. So she goes on this elk hunt, and sure enough, But this little 30-30 right here, this little gentleman right here, she got her only big game animal she ever hunted in life. She only went on one big game hunt. That was for moose, elk, and she got him. She killed him dead. She shot him offhand through the heart at 50 yards. And did he live? No. His horn's mounted on the wall in there now. And these pictures that's coming up right now are a few photographs of Diane with the 30-30 and her elk. So is the 30-30 the ideal elk cartridge? No, probably not. Probably not moose, grizzly bear, or anything like that. But it is as near a perfect a woods deer rifle as you can get. It's light, it's handy, it just carries beautifully. It balances great, it shoots good, it's quick, and got plenty of power for anything up to it, including deer and black bear. It's plenty. I mean, it's ideal for that. So if you're hunting in the woods or in cover, this little classic, iconic Model 94 Winchester 30-30 is one great, fantastic little rifle. It's been around a long time. Probably killed more deer and bear and stuff than any cartridge gun combo in existence. You probably can't prove that, but you certainly can't disprove it. And when people say this rifle's killed more deer and black bear than any rifle cartridge combo, I'll have to agree with them. It probably has. It is a great, great little rifle. And this year, I've said it ago that I'm going to take my first deer with a 30-30. That's a goal I've set for myself. Now, it might just be a doe or something like that for the meat. But this little rifle, after wanting one since I was 5 or 6 years old, now that I'm 80 years old, I'm going to get me a deer with my 30-30, Winchester 30-30. That as a kid, I thought that's the only gun anybody'd ever need for anything. I was 60 years old before I got one. Now I'm going to be 80 before I shoot deer with it. But it's going to happen. I'm going to get me a deer with probably the most classic, iconic rifle cartridge combo this country's ever seen or probably ever will see. That's the Winchester Model 94 30-30. And now we're going to get down to the other that I consider to be a classic, iconic rifle cartridge combo, and that's the awesome Savage 99 in 300 Savage. Now, if anybody's followed the channel and on particularly the ones that I've done a video or two concerning the 99. I've been a Winchester fan. I wasn't a Savage 99 person. I thought they were kind of ugly, and I didn't really appreciate them because they didn't really look like the classic lever action, you know, the Winchesters. So I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to them, but my brother, he liked them, and I was doing, like I said, refinishing of guns and stuff. I've always done that. And he had two 99s, and I offered to redo them for him. They're a little bit rough, so I offered to redo them for him, and I did. And in the process, I got handling those guns. I got to where I liked them, and I really got to appreciate what these things really are. These were rifles that were way ahead of their time. I mean, my goodness gracious, they were awesome guns, and still are. But anyway, while recovering from that cancer, I was stuck here at the house for a while. I got into buying these things, basket casings, pretty much, and giving them new life and reselling them. That's how I made a living there for a while, for a long time, matter of fact. Well, even after I quit making a living at it, I just kept doing it because I liked doing it and made a few bucks on it. And people that like the 99s, I mean, they're a pretty close-knit group. And while working on these things and putting them up on places like Gunbroker to sell and what have you, I got an offer from a rancher. There was a 99 man. I mean, he's a collector of 99s. And he offered to trade me a hunt on his ranch for elk in exchange for one of my 99s. So I took him up on it. I mean, I was pretty much I was just right out of the hospital with that daggum cancer surgery, and I couldn't get around too much or anything. So I took him up on that, and I actually got the best elk I ever got in my life with a Savage 99 300 Savage. Not this one. I'm going to show you a few pictures here in a little while with the 99 that I did get that elk with, and that was the first 99 I ever owned. And brother, it was a true basket case. But I give it new life. Got the best elk I've ever got in my life with it. And then, of course, I had my wife to go along with me because I need a little support. I was weak and what have you, but she goes along and she gets so excited. She'd never been on a hunt, but she got so excited when I got that elk that I said, if there's any way I can work it out with this rancher that I can trade him another hunt, I'm going to get her a hunt. And that's what I did. I traded that out. And I got Diane, that good-looking woman of mine, I got her a hunt. And that's the one where she used a little 94. And she got her elk with it. But like I said, I fell in love with the 99s. They're absolutely fabulous rifles. They're rifles that I put it this way. They balance and they handle like a fine shotgun. Fine over and under or side by side shotgun. But they had the accuracy of a rifle, of a bolt action rifle, and the speed of a lever action. They've got it all together. I mean, it's a lever action that you can put modern pointed bullets in it. They're just awesome cotton picking rifles. But this one was the last rifle that I would buy and redo and resell. So I bought this rifle probably 10 years ago. And I let it sit around for about a year, and then I worked on it, and I rebuilt it. I rebuilt it. Did my work on it. I rebuilt it. And I left it in pieces and parts. I didn't put it, it was totally dismantled, totally redone. And for 2 years, I let it sit in my little shop in pieces. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Whereas always before, I would, as soon as I get them done, I'd put them up and sell them. And I've had a lot of 99s go through my hands, a lot of them. But this one, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I knew this would probably be the last thing that I was going to do. And so I just let it sit there for at least 2 years. And about 3 years ago, I finally got around to putting it together. And put me sights on it and all that. So I got her together. It's never been shot for me. Whoever had it before probably shot it. But I've never fired this rifle. And I'm going to remedy that. I'm going to shoot this rifle either today, if the rain holds off. I'm going to probably shoot it today. If not, I'm going to probably shoot it tomorrow. But I kind of hoping that it'll go ahead and rain, because another thing I've never done out here at the farm or anywhere else, I've never planted a food plot for deer, not one time. I shoot a lot of deer here at the farm. I've never put out a food plot. So this year, along with the help of my good buddy Jerry, that if you've watched any of the videos, you know Jerry, but we put out a food plot, and it's needing rain. It just sown a couple of days ago, and we need rain. We've had all kinds of rain this year, but more rain than you can shake a stick at. But now that I need it, it's been a couple of days we hadn't had it. So I'm hoping it'll go ahead and rain. But anyway, this 99 and that 94, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to shoot this for the first time and see what kind of a shooter it is and see if I can get these sights adjusted. But I'm going to check the sights on that 94. Everything could still be fine, but it's been a while since it was shot. But I want to get a deer with that 94. Get my first deer with a Winchester model 94 30-30. And I'm going to get a deer with this rifle. Now, I've taken quite a few deer with Savage 99s, various Savage 99s, but not this one. Not this one. I decided I wanted to keep it and didn't want to sell it. It was the last one that I bought with the idea of finishing and reselling. So I did it, did it up. It's a beautiful rifle. It's a EG, one of the later ones. And it's like I said, if it's a Savage 99, it's a nice rifle. And I'm going to get me a deer with this thing, provided I can hit. I'm sure it'll be a shooter, but I got to find that out. Like I said, it's never been shot. So I'm going to put it on the bench, put it on paper, and see how she shoots. But that is two rifles. The Winchester Model 94 30-30 and the Savage 99 300 Savage, that in my opinion are two of the most classic, iconic rifle cartridge combos this country's ever produced. So my second choice of really classic deer rifles being the Savage 99 and 300 Savage. And the 30-30 and the 300 Savage are as good a cartridge rifle combination that you could ever ask for within the limits of what, practical limits, let's put it that way. The 30-30, particularly the 94 Winchester, being strictly an iron-sighted gun, it's good for deer, bear class animals, up to moderate ranges, woods ranges for certain, but up to 150 yards, no problem. And in the woods, where you most likely your shot's going to be 60 yards or less, you just can't You'd be hard-pressed to find a more comfortable, better gun to carry than the Winchester 94 30-30. And the same can be said about the Savage 99. Now, this one, the EG with the longer, somewhat heavier barrel, it's a little heavier gun than the Model 94. But the Savage was made in featherweight. I mean, it's made in lightweight guns too that handle just like a dream. I mean, they handle like a dream, as light as feather. But this particular one is a little bit heavier. It's still not a heavy gun, but it's a little bit heavier than the 94, of course. But the 30-30, as far as being about as ideal of a deer and bear woods cartridge rifle combo as you could get for ease of carrying and everything else, it's just a great little gun. And it's a shame that it's losing out on a lot of its popularity today. Most hunters today run around with some kind of brand new hot shot thing with a 25 power scope on it. Lordy mercy. They're missing what? Up close and personal. Get up close and personal with the deer in the woods with an iron-sighted gun. That's great deer hunting. And then the Savage, 300 Savage. As originally, when it was originally built, it was in a short cartridge, something that would actually work through the 99 action. It was designed to approximate the 30-06 ballistics, which it did. It pretty much did. But over the past 10 years, 30-06 has been uploaded, loaded, heavier and heavier bullets, more and more better primers or better powders, better everything, and they've increased the pressure quite a bit. Not so with the 300 Savage. It's still loaded somewhat anemic by today's standards, but it's for the older guns. But the Savage 99 is, particularly the later ones, the later ones that were made with better steels and all that stuff, they're strong. And they can withstand quite a bit more pressure than most reloads out there, or most reloaded manuals give you. But whatever. But the point is, even today, it so closely approximates the performance for 30-06 that it's got to be not just great for a deer, black bear woods cartridge. It makes a good all-around cartridge. It makes a good cartridge for virtually anything you want to hunt in this country, up to possibly excluding the big coastal bears. I'm not sure I'd want to tackle a big coastal grizzly with 300 Savage, but if I could have something like 300 Winchester or picker, that's probably what I'd take. But the 300 Savage is not just adequate, it's fine. It's a fine cartridge. Up through elk-sized critters, no problem whatsoever. I've taken a number of elk with them, no problem. So the 300 Savage, because of its design, a little more modern cartridge. Matter of fact, a very modern cartridge, but it's a pretty much straight wall, sharp-shouldered, shooting pointed aerodynamic bullets. It's a good one. It's a real good one. More so than the tubular-fed Winchester 94, which has to have round nose or flat nose bullets. But the 300 Savage, and particularly in the Savage 99, is a classic, not just deer cartridge, big game cartridge, big game rifle cartridge combinations. It's just, if you've never shot one, you're not familiar with them, you owe it to yourself to get a hold of one of these and try it. I think you're going to be impressed. They're absolutely phenomenal rifles. So we got, and I'll put up a few pictures of that first elk that I ever took with 300 Savage on this ranch, where I traded the rancher rifle for the privilege of hunting on his ranch. Show a few pictures of that, and you got to remember, I just out of surgery, I was cancer surgery, I was weaker in water, and Anyway, there's a few pictures of that rifle, which is a 99. It's a lighter weight version than this one. It's the 99G, the takedown, which is a little bit slimmer, trimmer, got a much, from the action back, it's virtually the same. But now here it's got a much more slim trim, lighter weight barrel on. But it's in 300 Savage, and it flat took the elk with no problem. And Diane took her elk with the Winchester 94 30-30. Both of them are not only adequate for deer, from either one, a bullet put in the right place going to kill anything. And the rancher was kind of shocked that Diane used a 30-30, but he was also equally somewhat shocked at how well it performed. It killed a monster elk with no problem whatsoever. No problem at all. So we got to get around to shooting this thing, see how it shoots, get it zeroed. Because this year I've had this gun for nearly 10 years. I'm going to get a deer with it. I've had this rifle for 20 years, and I've never taken a deer with it. These two babies are going to take them a deer this year. Just wait and see. Let's get out to shoot. Several daggum turkeys have discovered or found my food plot that I've got planted. It hadn't come up yet, and they're up there eating a seed. Now I'm going to see if I can discourage them from eating up all my seed. With this 222 here. See if I can get them to realize to think that maybe there's better places that they could go than sitting up there eating up all my. Let's see what we can do. Can we discourage them turkeys? Get them to leave? I hope. They don't need to be eating all that seed up. Especially until it rains. But let's just see if we can talk them into leaving. Got a little excited. I kind of talked him into leaving. Let's see. You shoot that rock. They left. Hey, I don't want them eating up my food plot. I want them eating all the seed. At least let it grow a little bit, then come back and eat it if you want, but don't eat up your seed. But anyway, that was actually kind of fun. Actually, that was kind of fun. So like I said, I have not fired. I've had this gun for 10 years, not fired a shot to it. I've got me a target set up there at about 25 yards maybe. I'm just going to make sure that I'm on paper. There's no sense in going way out there to distance. You start out shooting up close, make sure you're on paper. Then take your target, move it in out further and farther. But it's starting to look like that maybe we're going to get some of that rain that we've been promising that I need for my food plot. So I'm just going to shoot it here at close range, make sure I'm where I'm at before I start moving my target on out there to distance. But the wind's picking up a little bit. Looks like we may be going to get some of that rain. I certainly hope so. And so I'm just going to take a few shots, see what goes with it. Said I've never fired a shot through this rifle, even though I've had it for many years. Let's just see what she's going to do here. No. Let me see if I even hit the paper. Oh yeah. Yeah. Almost dead center. Why that didn't eject, I don't know, but it didn't. Now this is not with Savage 99. I've shot so many and had so many, worked with so many, that I just had a load that I worked up and shot pretty good with most of them. This is not a load specific to this rifle. This is just sort of a catch-all load that I was using for all the 99s that I worked with over the years. So now I don't need to have my glasses on where I can see my front sight real clear. I can hardly see it at all. Check this. Scope again, spot scope again. Well, I can hardly see my sights at all. In this gun, this all-purpose load seems to be a little on the hottish order. I need to tone that load down a little bit for this gun, I believe, for all intents and purposes. Fire one more time, and then I'm going to quit for today and work up some different loads for this gun. Wow, can't see it. Not too bad, but a little hot. And like I said, I cannot see the sights hardly at all, but got a nice little clover leaf there. Certainly nothing to brag about it at that distance, but I'll get my glasses. I'll get my glasses where I can see that front side a little better, and start working, maybe even just work up a load for the specific for this 300. I've never done that. I just use that generic load for all the 300s, and this is the first one that's ever been a little bit sticky in, but let's just see. That's actually the first of all the 99s that I've shot. I think that's the first one that load was ever sliced bit sticky in, but it's definitely sticky in this one. So between now and the deer season, I got to work up an adequate load for it. But that's going to be it for today. About 3 drops of rain hit me while I was walking out here this morning. I'm hoping to get some rain up there in that food plot. Anyway, we'll get around to doing a bit more shooting here in a day or two.